We're back and rolling. The traveller returns. The Wanderer. Dean, happy birthday before we start. Did you have a good birthday?
Yeah, nice. We're good. We're getting on. We're cracking on. Getting older. Getting wiser. You know.
Where? How did you spend your birthday? I know you've been on holiday. Tell us where you've been. What you did.
I had a great time. You know, I was in Greece. It was very, very hot. Most of the day was sunning, drinking. You know what I mean? So yeah, this was amazing. I had an amazing villa with a great infinity pool that overlooked the city because it was high up in the hills and stuff. But I mean, can't ask for more, you know. So I'm just happy.
That's the dream, man. That's the dream. Did you catch any of the boxing while you're over there?
Yeah. I think I saw the Warrington and I think I saw Katie Taylor. Just the tail end of that.
Yeah. What did you make of the Josh Warrington stoppage? The fight being stopped, should I say?
Well, look, it was a very bad cut anyway. First and foremost, obviously, the fighters' health and safety is the judges, not the judge, the referee's job, and the doctor's job. To be honest, though, I've seen worse cuts and fights go on a little bit longer. I would have liked to seen what Warrington would have done because he'd seen the cut. I think it should have been gone on just a little bit longer because he might have been able to get a full stoppage because the blood would have been going into this kid's face and so on and so forth, and it would have been a little bit difficult. But what I will say is he knew Lara was on it because Lara suspected how bad the damage was. And he kind of, at the end of the close of the second round, he started to really turn it up and swing for it. Did you see the little shootout at the end of the round? He was really, going for it a little bit because he probably thought, look, them headbutts, there was quite a few continuous headbutts, and he was complaining about it a little bit. Obviously, I think Warrington was trying to make it rough and rugged and a bit tough, and I don't know. Look, I think the stoppage was a bad cut, but I believe I would have liked to seen it go on a little longer because I reckon we would have had a very exciting third round, and I think it would have been compelling one way or the other because it would have been dynamite because these guys would have been going for it. I think Warrington was, I don't know if I'd say cagey, but he was somewhat more cautious because he was stopped last time and he was holding really well. I was really impressed with how he was holding. Maybe he didn't do that in the first fight because he exchanged in the pocket too much and then he got caught. I think he had his guard in the right place and he's doing his stuff. But at times he did look a bit cautious. He was jabbing okay. He did start quite well though, but he was in with a dangerous puncher, man.
If you were in Team Lara, if you were on the coaching staff or whatever there, would you be defending the decision for him to step out, and go for the draw, if you like, go for the call to the end of the fight, given that, all right, you're confident that you can beat Josh Warrington again, but it's going to be a tough fight, and in the back of your head, maybe a third fight, maybe another event like this comes around. Everything being said, he's got a big cut on his eye, there's a payday in the back of his head, potentially for a third go. Would you be happy with the call it a draw early, don't push your man to fight on and see if he can get the win?
I think as a coach, you got to your job is to protect your fighter, if you want to give him a handicap, because that is a handicap if you send him back out there, because a big cut, it could get worse. The blood trickling in his eye is going to make his job a lot harder for him to, you believe in your man, and he's got the power to win because he's done it before. So I think knowing that there's, he got a draw, he gets to keep his belts, what he won fair and square. And then, like you said, there's a trilogy. Amazing. Another big payday. He comes across the pond. He gets to get a little bit of a vacation again. He comes across the pond. He does it all again. And, he makes big money. 3 fights, fighting the same guy in the UK, the land of the opportunity where, boxing is thriving and stuff like that. So, I mean, as a coach, listen, he couldn't have done any more. I think the right decision was made from them. But when I was talking about in terms of anything else, I was more talking in the aspect of, wanting it to be in the favor of Warrington being given the opportunity because there was a handicap. It was a better opportunity for him in this junction because there was a clear headbutt in the first round, which kind of dazed Lara a little bit, and he was kind of befuddled a little bit. So I think with that you know, a little bit headbutt the first one, then the cut. I think these were, you know, I heard there was question in his heart. That I don't get into. You know, one thing we know about Mexicans, they're known for their heart, their durability, and their desire, because they come from something totally different, where they've grown up with now nothing, zero. And a lot of them have done it the real hard way. You know what I mean? If you've been to Mexico, you understand. And if you watch anything about Mexico, you know, on YouTube or whatever, you understand exactly how these guys grow up. And, you know, their earnings, the money they do, they earn, and the things they do for money is totally different. You know, they're working from the kid ages, when over here kids are playing games and, you know, living a great life, getting parties, getting loads of toys. And I'm sure it's not the same over there. So them questioning his heart, I think that was really a bit silly. But look, obviously it's another ploy, it's another something in the box to try and get into his brain, mind games, you know what I mean? So, yeah. But I think, look, as a coach, I think that was a great job what they did. They go again, they run it back, he keeps his belt, and he gets a third paycheck.
Let's speak about Conor Benn on the card. You know, he that's the fight that he was in has the grain, if you like, of a headline fight. You know, we saw he was supposed to be headlining Fight Camp. We know that was pushed back for Corona. He's fought eventually on the Josh Warrington undercard. Slightly disappointing from his sense that he's not got the knockout, but Granados has gone in there to survive. I saw him afterwards in the bar saying that Granados thought he won. He didn't. Conor Benn got the dub. He's looking forward now. Where do you think Conor Benn goes next?
Listen, Conor Benn is a great talent. You know, he's done tremendously well. He's come on leaps and bounds. I use him as an example to the young boys I'm training. You know, someone who, you know, puts they're all into something, you know, and they, you know, and one thing, he's got that will, purpose, and desire. Obviously, they talk about this name Ben because of the dad, Nigel Benn, but you know, he's carved out his own lane, and he's put in exponential work ethic in the gym. When you see him, he's got a big character as far as I'm concerned. You know, he's come a long way from the Pinard fights where he was dropped and stuff like that, and people were questioning him. For me, he's definitely one of the most improved young guys coming through. I'm a big fan of Conor Benn, and I am. I've watched the growth, and I use him as an example to these guys, man. I say, look, listen to me. You know, you could have the weight of the world on your shoulder, which he had. He's got like Ricky Hatton's son. What's his name? I can't remember his name right now. He's another one who's got Campbell's got the same. He's got the same road to go. We're gonna have to see if he's made of the same metal as Conor, because you know it's a long dark path, and he's done it the hard way without his family being in Australia, and then he's had a baby the other day, and he's been in the gym, he's lived in the gym, he's learnt the craft, he's listened to his coach, he's put the training in with his strength and conditioner, and he was always fast, but now he's more strong, he's more explosive, and he's got that character, he's got that will and purpose. You know what I mean? And he's exciting. Fans like to see him. You know, he was in there saying, "Come on, let's have it then, let's go." You know, he's got that character that you want to watch, that character that will draw you in, and it infuses, you know, your desire to kind of log in and say, you know, I've watched this guy grow from a young lad into a man in the ring. And it's nice to see the development. But yeah, man, I think I didn't get to watch the fight fully. I saw little clips of it. I'll probably watch it today or whatever. But you know, let's see. But nevertheless, I always kind of catch up on little glimpses of certain fights and whatnot. I managed to catch the Warrington fight in full and the tail end of the Taylor. But yeah, I'll catch up. But Conor, I got nothing bad to say about him. I love what he's doing, and you know, I hope he continues and going on. And they match him in the right vein, and they don't match him with the wrong people too soon. You know, right now he's 19-0, so there has to be some time to be looking at, you know, certain guys. Because when you look at the guys in America and who they're being matched with, like the guy I always forget their names, the Mexican Destroyer. I think he's 18-0, 18 knockouts. He's an absolute barbarian, that kid.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. I always do this, but anyway, like, you know, those kind of guys, they're in a stronger position for me at the minute than Conor Benn. But Conor Benn needs to step up just a little bit more. He's slowly doing it. I like the 2 steps he's made recently. He's starting to get some of the peripheral guys on the world level. But he's gonna, if he wants to be in the mix with those guys,
Okay. Hear me out on this one. Hear me out on this one. We know the old saying of if it makes dollars, it makes sense. We know that certain fighters can go for a year, team at a time without fighting. Is it beyond the realms of possibility that within the next year and a half, we see Conor Benn in with someone like Keith Thurman or maybe even Manny Pacquiao?
You know what, Eddie'd have to pay Manny Pacquiao a hell of a bit of money. Manny Pacquiao is still very dangerous as far as I'm concerned. That's not a fight I'd like to see Ben in. He's got fast hands, he's got fast feet. Very, very dangerous fight. Manny Pacquiao just went the distance with Ugas, who is an animal as well. Spence, another animal. And the other kid, for the life of me, I can't get his name, but it will come to me at some. No, Terence Crawford, I know that guy comes in. Terence is an animal. I'm talking about the new Hungry Lions like Gerard Ennis, Boots. Those guys I wouldn't like to see. Yeah. Gerard Ennis, Boots, he's not a man I'd like to see Conor Benn with. He's got so much skills. He can punch, he can box. It's not good matchmaking. He's 26-0, 24 knockouts. Absolute nightmare. The guy I'm talking is from Texas. I can see his face. I think his name is Ruiz. Is it Ruiz something or I don't know, man. My brain.
You mean Virgil Ortiz?
Sometimes. Virgil Ortiz, bingo. I remember the kid. He's one of my favorite fighters watching. He is a wrecking ball. Keith Thurman, potentially, he's getting old and he's not been in the ring. He's not active. He's been inactive, but he's a big puncher as well. You know, I think them guys have matched Conor quite well because they haven't matched him with any punches. You know what I mean? If they're smart enough, they can get him to a world title without getting him in with someone who's, you know, getting him punchy and getting him into these hard fights too soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just a few boys that are ahead of him, but for coming from the English shores, he's a great talent, man. It's exciting to watch the growth from where he's going. But I think the Khan fight, what they're trying to make is interesting, but Khan's still no pushover. Khan's very fast. He's got great experience. And obviously he'd like to try and keep it on the outside. He's not going to exchange. There's another kid though on the UK soil. I think he just signed to Boxer. I think he's 17-0, 17 knockouts as well. I think I don't know where he's fought. He's fought under the radar a lot, but I think he's undefeated kid, 17-0, 17. I think he's from Portsmouth or something that kind of way.
Okay, we'll have to do some digging on him. I'm not suggesting.
And I tell you what, you got fights like McKinson, but yet again, styles makes fights. That's a very bad style, McKinson.
I'm not suggesting he goes in next with Thurman or Pacquiao, but knowing Thurman or Pacquiao, it could be a year before we see them out again. And Ben, in theory, could have had 2 or 3 fights by then. But looking at potentially for next, you mentioned Amir Khan. Yes, everyone has spoke about that fight. Personally, I think we're probably going to see Khan Brook first before we see, you know, and if Amir Khan wins that, then maybe we see him in with Ben. But I think another name that people would like to see Conor Benn in with is David Avanesian. You know, there was all this talk about Ben and Kelly. Avanesian, you know, kind of upset that pathway. Josh Kelly's going to rebuild, you know, come back, etc., etc. Avanesian Ben, listen, I like Conor Benn, but I don't know if I fancy him in that fight. I think that's really 50-50.
Yeah, Avanesian is a monster. He's a silent little Russian assassin. And yeah, I think, you know, he's good. He's very underestimated. I think he's gone over to boxing now. He's signed with Boxer also. So it's definitely interesting. Definitely a good fight. I think it's a fight that fans would like to see. And to be honest, really at this junction where Conor is, you know, that is not a bad fight. That is not a bad fight. But yet again, I don't think that's the fights they're trying to put Ben in right now, Conor in, because, you know, they don't want him in 50-50 fights. They want him in 70-30s or 80-20s. You know what I mean? Because they want to bring him on, and that's their job, to bring him to the well. So I don't know. It's definitely a fight I'd like to see at some stage. Maybe not the next fight, because he's got a lot of experience also.
I think
now that they've gone to Sky, I don't know if those fights are even doable or possible at the minute.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. I think if I had to hang my hat on someone, I'd be looking at, your Robert Guerreros and Victor Ortizes, who, of course, both of those guys came back on the Pacquiao undercard. That's a fight that probably makes sense. Let's move on. Heavyweight scene. There's a lot of heavyweight action. We've got Joshua Usyk in a couple of weeks. I saw Dillian Whyte post. He's back out soon as well. Eddie Hearn teasing a couple of names there. The one Eddie Hearn was saying was Chris Arreola, because he thinks it builds up to a Ruiz fight. Is that a fight you'd like to see?
Well, I don't know I think it's a good fight. I mean, look, I get the angle of why they're doing it, because obviously they believe he's over the hill. They believe they can win in a more emphatic fashion than Andy Ruiz did, because he was dropped a few times. But you know what? Areola's got a lot of experience. He's got a lot of punch power. That's the last thing to leave a heavyweight boxer or a boxer's power. So, and he carries his power well. So hopefully no one's underestimating and overlooking that and thinking he's past the hill, because he's definitely not. Because look, he just went to the well and it arguably could have won that fight with Andy Ruiz, because I think he dropped him 3 times. I don't know how you drop someone 3 times and lose a fight, to be honest, because that is crazy, unless you get a stoppage. So that already was a probably a home decision, you know. But definitely an interesting fight, a fight that could potentially, I'm not sure if the fans are going to be overly happy with it, because they're going to probably look at it like, well, he's over the hill and this and that. But let me tell you something, when you're at elite level, you can't be saying, you know, these guys are over the hill. But yet again, when Deontay Wilder fought him a little while ago, they was cussing him, and he gave Arreola gave him a good run for his money. So Arreola is a solid campaigner, you know. And he's definitely someone that, you know, people wanna see out. I don't know if the UK fans know who he is, or hopefully they don't look at him and consider him a bum too much. You know what I mean? Because he's got quite a lot of losses. You know what I mean? So
well, I think
it's interesting.
I think this fight really is, if you look at the names being linked with Dill, and you will know these names better than I do, but all of them, I think, are about exposing Dillian to the American market. The UK fans are going to say what the UK fans say, you know, unless it's Fury or Joshua or potentially, you know, a couple of other names at that level. They're going to say he's a bum. They're going to, you know, there's going to be stick from a big quarter of fans. But this, for me, is about exposing Dillian to an American audience. And obviously, Chris Arreola is someone well known by the Americans. Like you say, he fought Wilder, he's fought Ruiz. He's the kind of fighter who he'll see Dillian Whyte as his way back in. If he beats Dillian, well, then I want to be at the top table. You know, I want a shot at whoever. So I don't mind that fight at all. I want to ask you while I've got you though, one guy that is constantly throwing shade at Dillian is Charles Martin.
Charles Egghead Martin. Yeah. Listen, look, let me tell you something. What I don't know. Look, these guys, I get it. I totally get it, because look, it's all about, listen, closed mouths don't get fed. Pretty simple. You know what I mean? He's trying to put himself in the frame. He's trying to talk himself into a fight. But the problem is when you're at that kind of level where Dillian is, and these guys are talking, especially if they're talking down to you, you're going to be thinking, well, why the hell am I going to give you an opportunity? Why am I going to give you a payday? You know what I mean? You're a bum. You've lost. You've done nothing with your career. Me putting you on the map, giving you an opportunity to potentially, you could, if he upsets the apple cart, I'd put you in that position. Why would I want to do that? You know what I mean? But I guess if he talks nice to Dillian, does Dillian still give him an opportunity? So I guess he's got to go for what he's got to go for and try his luck and see where it lands him. But, you know, he's a dangerous kid. I'm not going to lie. For me, when we saw him against Joshua, I think that wasn't the real Charles Martin. If you look at him now, he went through a turbulent time, a turbulent few years. As that fight got made, he was going through transitions with stuff. He got a hell of a lot of money at a young age. He got paid like $5 million. That's probably blew his mind. He went on to get shot, drop out of boxing, went into rapping, and has done a few things. And then he's managed to get himself back together. And now he's had some, you know, he had a loss. That was another controversial, close loss. I mean, but it was a hell of a fight. It was Kawanaki he fought?
Yeah, that's right. Kawanaki.
That was a fight. And then he had another good, solid fight. I think he won that one. So he's been in some really, really good, interesting fights. Listen, when you get a southpaw who's good and can box and can move, it's always going to be difficult. Who's he with now? I think he's at the Crunk Gym with those boys over there. So that's only going to help him and garner him with more experience and stuff. I think he's moved away from his hometown. So he's back on the ball. He's a dangerous son of a gun. You know what I mean? All of the boys at that level is going to all be dangerous. You know what I mean? But me personally, if you didn't have to fight a southpaw, you don't fight them unless it's absolutely necessary.
Just finally then, before I let you go, mate, you said you saw the tail end of Katie Taylor fight. One quick mention of Katie. Where does she go next? I mean, I was speaking with Katie. I've spoken to Katie a few times last week, and the one thing I can't help but admire on her is the fact that she wants to keep going at the top level, because she could quite easily ride off into the sunset now. I mean, what else is there to possibly achieve? But, you know, you're hearing these fights about a Jonas rematch. You're hearing these fights about Serrano. You know, there's a few other names that are kind of always going to be there. What do you think of Katie and where she goes next?
Listen, Katie's an amazing, amazing athlete. She's done great for women's boxing. And I know her and her coach. They're pretty cool. They're a cool team. I like them. She was talking about even going up weights to fight certain people. I can't remember who the name she actually mentioned at the time in one interview she done. But look, she said she wants to go down undefeated. She believes she'll end her career undefeated and wants to go up and fight. And that's not a bad thing, that she's got that confidence in herself and her ability. I just wish her the best of luck. You know, I don't know what her plan is, but I am a fan of hers. She's come into the game and
yeah, so got you.
Yeah, she's come into the game and done some really good stuff, and she's put women's boxing on the map, because obviously since she's come in the game, Eddie's put a lot of time and effort into women's boxing. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's definitely something that you know, looking forward that she can go and do great stuff. If she can go up a few weight classes and fight different people, or even go down one and come up a few, I think that'd be good, because then, you know, that would go down in the history books as someone who's, you know, maybe a 5'4" division weight world champion and so on, etc. And if anyone can do it, it's possibly her. She can do that, you know what I mean? I wouldn't like to want to see her in with the big girls like Savannah Marshall or Clarissa Shields or something. Those girls are a little bit too big and probably too strong. But there's if she goes down one and then goes up one or two and then stays around there, she could become 3 or 4 world champion weight division and probably retire and do some maybe commentating and other stuff around the sport and be an ambassador of some sort. So, you know, it's definitely interesting and good times for female boxing, because I've got my own female boxers I want to be pushing our boxer at the minute. So, you know, she's a bit smaller, but yeah, I want her to come into the UK mix and see what we can do with her over here. So yeah, it's good times. She's was the flag bearer. So, and now all the other women, you got that, was it Emily Bridges now doing stuff and making names? Was it Shannon Courtney? There's loads of names in there that people are doing stuff. And Natasha Jonas is another one who, you know, did some good stuff. There's loads of them, but it's good times. It's good times for female boxing.
100%. Well, listen, mate, I'm going to let you crack on. I know you've got a busy day and things going on ahead, but another big fight week, you know, the next week, you know, this time next week, we can look at Filip Hrgovic is back out this weekend. Sonny Edwards back out this weekend. Then we've got Joshua after it. Then we've got Eubank after that. So busy schedule coming up. I'm sure we're going to be picking your brains quite a lot over the next few weeks. But we'll let you crack on now. Hope you had a good holiday. Welcome back to the not so nice weather and the traffic jams and everything else, mate. But yeah, we'll catch you next week.
All right, top man. Thanks very much.